Welcome to Bay Area Art Beat. It's a great pleasure to be here at the Buddhist Art Gallery, and I am here with the star of the Buddhist Art Gallery, and we're going to talk to Anil Tarpa. Anil, welcome to the program. It's a great, great pleasure to have you here. Tell me a little bit about yourself and what brought you here.
Well, before I talk, I want to take a little moment of honoring the First Nation people of this world, from this part of the world. And it's such a blessing, first of all, to be here in this part of the land. First, one of the fundamental reasons I came here was to visit my girlfriend. So I came here to visit her, and then she asked me to stay here. And so now a lot of things are unfolding. And why I'm here? I mean, I guess it's many things are unfolding over the time. And the first fundamental reason was to visit the girlfriend.
Okay, love.
Yeah.
Love is the fundamental business, right?
Yes.
So I was taking a walk downtown, walking down Bancroft, and it's just amazing to find this gallery here, and it's a whole different world. I mean, there's a kind of a peace and a beauty here, and I really want to urge people. You're planning to leave and go back to Nepal in a couple months?
Yeah, a few months.
2 months.
Few months.
So people, they have to take the opportunity soon to come and see this if they want to see it for themselves. Will this be here, or is anybody else be running it, or will the whole thing come down?
Well, there's a very little chance that somebody might take over.
Yeah.
So let's hope that somebody might take over, because it's been almost 6 years.
Yeah.
So we're just hoping that somebody might take over. Otherwise, it will just close.
Well, I would urge people to come within the next 2 months, because you're a presence that people should run into, contend with. And tell us about painting the tankas, because you've painted many of these tankas, right?
Yeah, some of them I painted myself, and some of them they are painted in my gallery back in Nepal. These paintings have changed my life in so many different ways. This is almost like my, university education, because through this I have traveled a few countries and did shows, because these paintings really work in a very deeper level of the mind and relationship with the mind and the body and the spirit and the land. So something about this painting is a reflection of our higher self in a different ways that one can experience. Sometime in an abstract way, sometime in a figure way. So basically they are the reflection of our own mind that one can meditate upon.
I wanted to say that the city of Berkeley is going to be honoring you in July 9th. Mm-hmm. It's going to be at the City Council on Bonar and Addison, mm-hmm. the council chambers, and it's open to the public if anybody would like to attend. And I'm honored to have somebody we're honoring, and all that. So tell me more about painting the tankas.
Well, first of all, Thanga painting started back in Nepal, 7th century, as a part of a tool that one can travel from one place to another, so that one can share the teachings and the philosophy that lies behind the paintings. For example, when we see certain mandalas paintings, they represent our higher self, our mind, that sometimes we are very stuck with our limited mind. So usually mandala painting help us to kind of extend or expand our consciousness and help us to connect with our deeper self.
Yeah.
So Thanga paintings are really kind of a very core practice to the Himalayan Buddhist tradition,
Yeah.
including Bhutan, Tibet, Nepal, northern India. So this part, and it used to be more like a traveling from one place to another. But now Thangka painting have also taken as a part of a decoration object, because people love just as an art object, because it's so very detailed work. It has takes months and years to finish a painting, a one painting. So it has definitely evolved, but the fundamentally Thangka paintings were used for an object of meditation, contemplation, reflection, and how we can transform our mind, or at least recognize our true nature, or at least deeper than our surface mind.
Yeah. It's terrific. It takes you a long time to do a painting. Right?
Yes, it usually take almost 3 months, 4 months to finish one painting. So there's no even if you want to rush, naturally the painting will bring you back to the the step by step. So
yeah. And you're also a musician. You play the flute.
Yes, that happened when I landed in this country. I was very drawn to First Nation people, Native Americans, and I wanted to engage, because I love culture. I love indigenous people, and somehow I find my way to the flute, and now I have almost 12 different kind of Native American flute with me. And we did the flute album release ceremony here, so I also produced the first album, Honoring the Land, it's called. So yeah.
Great. Who was your teacher? Or do you have many teachers?
The flute teacher? I think I will consider my flute teacher as a wind.
The wind, that's great.
Yeah, just being in the nature, I learned so many elements about learning. So.
Well, that's beautiful. It's been such a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you so much. And I hope people come to visit the gallery. It's a wonderful, wonderful gallery. And do you know what you're going to do when you get back to Nepal?
Yes. First of all, the reason I'm taking this gallery down is because I'm listening my call about going into a 3.5-year solitary retreat. This is it will be like more internal work, and because I'm drawn into more like shamanic nature practices, so it's just calling me to do some deeper practice into myself, and just understand myself more, and so that I can share that to the world. So I will be in the monastery by myself, and doing my practice for about almost 4 years, and so
you're solitary in the monastery?
Yes.
What about your girlfriend?
I mean, everything have its own management, I would say. Everyone, I feel like we meet in our life for certain reason and for certain time. So I feel like the one that I meet, my girlfriend, my wife, now we're separating our journey, and so that I can pursue my inner calling. So. And we're trying to do as much consciously as possible.
Great. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful being here in your gallery. And I hope that people will stop by and see this amazing world you've created. Thank you. We'll be right back with our next guest and with some free events happening in Berkeley. Please check them out. It's been wonderful being here. Welcome back to Bay Area Art Beat. I am so delighted that Julie from the San Francisco Ethnic Dance Festival is our guest, and I am so delighted that the San Francisco Ethnic Dance Festival will be held in Berkeley. 2 weekends at Cal Performance, and Julie is going to tell us all about it.
We are very excited to be in Berkeley. It is the 41st annual festival. This was started back in 1978 when there was hundreds of small community-based dance and music groups in the Bay Area that were relatively unknown on mainstream stages. So San Francisco Grants for the Arts decided to underwrite a festival where they could all be on one stage. And 40 years later, it's grown into the largest, most critically acclaimed world dance and music event, certainly on the west coast of America. And back then there were 21 dance companies that performed in that first festival, and now there's over 450.
Wow.
All locally based dance companies.
Wow.
And many of the groups are led by masters that are recognized all over the world who have chosen to live here in the Bay Area, and we're really lucky. Most of them teach, you can take classes, and one great way to see many of them each year is at the annual festival.
Yeah, yeah. I've gone many years in San Francisco. I'm delighted it's in Berkeley, but it's extraordinary. It's an extraordinary event, and as I said, I'm delighted to. Will you talk some more about the weekends, about when they're going to be here and what's going to be? And since this program is supposedly about Buddhist art, then you can point out if there are any Buddhist dance companies. But just tell us about everybody who's going to be here.
So there's 2 weekends of performances, July 6th and 7th, and then the following weekend, July 13th, 14th. Each weekend features a completely different group of artists performing, and it's a 2-hour seamless show. So all of the groups are on stage 10 to 12 minutes, everything from Mexican folkloric dance to dance from Egypt and India, West Africa. We have a beautiful Lebanese piece in the first weekend, but that first weekend, July 6th and 7th, there are 2 pieces from Japan. One of them is a beautiful Japanese ritual being done by Kohaku and Shiho Tendu, and they're coming from Sacramento. All the companies are Northern California artists. And then the great San Francisco Taiko Dojo actually opens the festival that first weekend. And Grandmaster Seiichi Tanaka is truly the grandfather of Taiko in North America. He founded that company when there were not any other taiko companies. There was not any taiko drumming as part of the Cherry Blossom Festival when he arrived.
Yeah.
And then his students have gone on to open different dojos, and now there's 250 direct lineages, dojos to Master Tanaka throughout North America.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Taiko drumming in this country would be completely different had he not chosen to come and share his Japanese culture.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wonderful. So tell us about more people who'll be performing.
Well, opening that weekend, we've started acknowledging Ohlone people at the beginning of each show. So Canyon Sayers Roods is doing her grandmother's song to bless and welcome folks into the festival that first weekend, July 6th and 7th. And the following weekend, we're opening with this incredible ballet folkloric piece by Nuba de Oro that is something that I've not seen before. I've been doing the festival for 17 years, and I encourage everyone to come and watch this folkloric company. I think that their artistic director is extraordinary. And following them are Tara Catherine Pandea. Tara is an extraordinary artist from Marin who has been traveling with Cirque du Soleil for 5 years. There's a dance competition in Tajikistan, and she entered it as an American and won Best Dancer of Tajikistan of the Year, which really changed the way people felt about America, that said that an American artist had taken the time to learn the culture so beautifully and share it with Americans so deeply. And she is going to be performing with a beautiful musician right before we move into our first fusion work from India.
Wow.
And classical, there's 9 different classical Indian dance forms being practiced throughout the Bay Area. lots of dance companies, lots of amazing teachers,
yeah.
but 3 different styles have come together to show similarities between the forms, Bharatanatyam, Odissi, and Kathak. And I think it's going to be really eye-opening for people who love Indian dance to see
great.
how they have, these three choreographers have blended those 3 classical Indian forms into one
Oh,
piece.
that's very exciting.
We've
That's
never shown anything like
incredible.
that before.
Incredible.
And then we have a Tahitian company that weekend and a beautiful piece by Parangal Dance Company, which is a Filipino-based dance company. Actually, they're all based here, but they've been going back and forth to the Philippines. We call them cultural ambassadors, really, on their own dime, community scholars. And they've been learning dances from indigenous groups in the Philippines, bringing them back,
Oh, wonderful.
staging them on their dance company here, and then showing them to the public. And one of my favorite stories about that work in the Philippines, a group, Lika, went to Parangal a few years back, and they learned a dance from one of the masters of the culture there, brought it back, and then we got a small grant to bring an international artist. So I asked him who he would invite, Rudy Soriano, and he decided to invite a man named Narino, who led that tribal group. They flew him, he'd never left his island in the Philippines. They took him to Manila, flew him to the United States, put him on stage as part of his harvest ritual performance. They gifted him with a video camera, and he recorded the standing ovation of 1,000 Americans for his harvest dance. He took it back to his village, showed them the recording, and all of a sudden the kids who were not so interested in learning their culture, wearing blue jeans and T-shirts, started learning their traditional dance again.
Beautiful.
Now he's built a tourism industry for the community, and it's really been a significant impact. And many of these dance companies have that sort of story where they're going back and forth around the world. The cultural diplomacy that's being done through the artists that are participating in the Ethnic Dance Festival is extraordinary.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, that's a whole nother show in of itself. But this opportunity to see these 28 dance groups over 2 weekends this July in Berkeley is something I'm really excited about.
I am too. I'm so pleased that you're here, and thank you so much for making the time to come and be our guest.
Thank you,
and,
Susan.
I would suggest that people can, if you possibly can, go to both weekends.
Yes.
I've done that before.
And there's a discount at sfethnicdance.org. There's a discount if you go to both weekends. There's tickets available, the whole price range. It's 50% off for kids. So there's $28 tickets that you can get a 50% discount if you bring a child for $14 to see 2 hours, 150 local artists.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll be right back with our next guest, and right now we're going to show you some free events taking place in the Bay Area. I'm very excited about this, and I'm just Welcome back to Bay Area Art Beat. I am so pleased to have James Barris as my guest. James has written Awakening Joy, 10 Steps to Happiness, fabulous Buddhist way to happiness, or any way to happiness is fabulous. And a special book for kids called Awakening Joy for Kids. And so tell us a little bit about I think it's such a difficult world now. So many people are having problems. And for me, it was a revelation to learn that joy is part of the Buddhist teaching and part of what people strive to be awakened to in this world. So anyway, you talk to me.
Definitely, Joy and happiness is part of the Buddha's teachings. The Buddha was called the happy one, but there's often a lot of emphasis on suffering. The Four Noble Truths, there is suffering, there's a cause of suffering, there's an end to suffering, and there's a path leading to the end to suffering. And sometimes it can get lost in the shuffle that the Buddha said, go for the highest happiness. And the Dalai Lama, in his beautiful book, The Art of Happiness, he starts out with the line, the purpose of life is to be happy. The purpose of life is to be happy, because when we can get in touch with our own genuine well-being, then all of our beautiful qualities shine through. So although I've been teaching Buddhist meditation at Spirit Rock Meditation Center and other places for many years, I've seen how easy it is for people to get very serious about their practice, like I did. The reason I ended up writing about this is at some point I got dead serious about my practice, with the emphasis on the dead. And I said, well, what did the Buddha actually say about well-being and happiness and joy? And when I looked, I saw some really beautiful practices and teachings that weren't just for being on the cushion, but that could be applied in everyday life. And that's why I wrote the book and teach this course.
Yeah, and I've taken the class, I think, twice, and it's really wonderful. And are you going to be giving it again this year?
Yeah, we just finished. This is the 16th year, and we'll be doing another one in usually beginning of February through June.
Great, great. Well, it's wonderful.
Thanks.
And say more about the teachings.
The course and the teachings. Yeah, there's a place in us that wants to be happy. Everything that we do, we're doing because it'll make us either feel better, we think, or feel less bad. Often it's misguided, but there's a place in us that's rooting for our happiness. So this is just getting in touch with that and seeing where happiness really lies. 3 principles of the Course. One is to cultivate states of well-being, states like kindness and generosity and compassion and joy. They're uplifting and they're expansive. Second teaching, along with those states, there's a feeling of gladness or uplift that comes with them. The Buddha said, the gladness connected with these wholesome states is an equipment of mind to overcome all ill will and hostility. So the key is, when you are having a moment of well-being, that's a wholesome moment of well-being, don't miss it. Sometimes people say that's the essence of the Course that they get. Don't miss it, and really let yourself feel it. And it's different knowing, oh, I'm feeling good right now, than, oh, this is what it feels like to feel good. And the more you can tune into that, you tap into genuine well-being and aliveness. And then the third teaching that really struck me about the Buddha's teaching is, he said, whatever one frequently thinks and ponders upon, that becomes the inclination of mind. Or as modern neuroscience says, neurons that fire together wire together. So as you're getting more habitually in touch with those moments of well-being and really let yourself feel them, it starts to be more the inclination of your mind and your whole attitude. But it takes practice to notice and really stay with moments of well-being, because we tend to see what's going to go wrong. And so this is about practicing that.
Yeah, I think that's so important. I tell myself, the line that says, let the joy of the work sink in, from an old story. Do you know that story to tell? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Well, I think I'm going to tell you that, but it's about it's a silly story about a butcher who's butchering an animal, but when he gets done with the job, he just says, let the joy of the work sink in. Mm. And I think so often, when we do something well or something, we don't stay with that moment. We just rush on to what's wrong or, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So,
as my neuroscience friend Rick Hansen says, the brain is like Teflon for positive experiences and Velcro for negative experience. So it takes some practice to switch that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's interesting. I mean, because I heard it, well, I think in your class say that, you know, we had, when we were developing in the early days, we had to really worry about the negative experiences because they could kill us. But now we just move on too fast from the positive. Mm-hmm. Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. And what's different in awakening for kids and awakening for adults?
Well, the kids' book I co-authored with a really brilliant classroom teacher who took the basic course and then wanted to share it with her classes. She's up in Canada, and she said, we should write a book on this. And I've developed all these lessons. And I said, really? I don't know. And then she said, go speak to your publisher. And they said, yeah, you should write a book.
Yeah, that's great.
So the way the book is laid out, I wrote to the teachers and the parents the introduction. This is how you get well-being for yourself. And then Michelle, the co-author, said, and this is how we can share it with our kids at home and in school and with fun, social, emotional exercises. Bring out and awaken that joy too.
Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. I've loved this edition of Bay Area Art Week, Art Beat. I hope people have enjoyed it. We will be back next month with another show, and please check out the things that we suggest, and see you next time. Stay amazed.